Today, a crisis is brewing. You can look around the world and see what has happened to the economy, and then we have the disparity growing ever wider between the rich and the poor. I'm going to talk about how what we are seeing is setting up for something much bigger, a life-changing, life-altering event. I've got a lot of information to cover here. I will show you some of the articles, and I've broken it all down, written this down into the information that I need to share with you. The first thing we are going to look at is the financial markets. We'll talk about the Federal Reserve and so on. The second thing is the economic chaos, a few things related to the shipping, the supply chain, and so on. And third is setting the stage for what could be next. Now, I've got all of that and more. Let's begin. I'm just going to show you a few things today, and then I want to break down what I have written up because I think it's important. Let's look at this first. Elon Musk sold about $6.9 billion in Tesla stock this week. And then we have Tim Cook, who a few months ago nets $355 million after selling Apple shares. Many others, like the AMC CEO, I believe it was, the CFO, going to sell a bunch of his shares as well. And you could look up all of this information and see the insiders that are selling. So we have stocks rocketing to all-time highs seemingly every week. And now we are watching as some big insiders are selling out at a potentially convenient moment. What is also happening here is that you could see this information directly from the Federal Reserve. They are starting to taper their purchases of their assets. It is located here. It's showing you on November 3rd, but you can actually see what they plan on doing every single day. All of this information is released. They are going to be printing on, previously they were printing $80 billion a month for the Treasury securities, but now they're going down to 70 billion, and that leads us into December. What happens after December? Well, of course, we'll find out at the FOMC meeting through that period. You could see the schedule and exactly what they plan on doing on the 15th, the 16th, and so on. Okay, all of that information is made public on their website. All the links will be in the description as always. Okay, so before we get into the depths of this, I just wanted to highlight what has been happening with the stock market and the financial markets. Let's break this down really simply in the Money GPS Insights. The economy, not the stock market, has been weakening for years. You can see this in all different indicators. The data has come through. I've documented it here on the channel. They keep changing the calculations, changing the math to make it look like everything's okay. But you and we're not fooled. Most importantly, history has shown us that maximum debt levels usually end in battles between nations. So my message to you is that preparedness is more important now than ever before. If you do agree with me, hit that thumbs up. It's right down there. It's important to let me know what you're thinking. Put it in the comments. Let me know exactly what you believe we are headed towards. So I've got this all written down, so I will be referencing the notes I have in front of me. Essentially, this is a build-up to something bigger. Inflation is out of control, and it's very clear that we are going higher for longer. Initially, they said, no, it's going to be temporary. It's not going to affect you. It's just going to be a few months, and now we have completely flipped the script. Asset prices are at unimaginable heights, whether we're talking about real estate, whether we're talking about stocks, and so many others. Central banks and governments have pumped money, more money, in fact, into the system than ever before in history. This is historic, not just in the dollar value, but measured against basically anything. At the same time, we have these geopolitical tensions that are rising. China, the US, China, Taiwan, Russia and Europe, China, India, India, Pakistan, China, Australia, etc. Major weather events are taking place seemingly weekly right now. Whether it's going on in California or maybe it's in China or Australia, it seems like every week there's something new. We also have the supply chain issues on top of that, which we'll talk about more in a moment. Historically, there are timeframes in which major disruptions occur to your normal daily life. And they could be financial crisis, could be a major weather event, could be a recession, etc. All of these different things. But it always happens in a cycle. And I believe we are heading for something big. So more on that issue here. Ships keep coming, pushing the US port logjam and weights to records. Of course, you'll look at this, the same sort of information. I just wanted to give you an update on what's been happening. Separated at birth, container ships wait an average of nearly 17 days to enter the port of LA. This information was something that I covered previously. You can look at all of this, take in what you want. I just think it's important to see day after day after day, the situation just gets worse. It doesn't get better. And that leads us to more tension, to more chaos and disruption. Wild bidding wars erupt at used tractor auctions across the US. This is unbelievable. Records are falling left and right as inflation arrives in farm country. No one in America knows the used tractor market better than Greg Peterson, which frankly wouldn't be that much claim to fame outside the farming towns of the Great Plains in normal times. But these are not normal times. And just talking about how serious things have become right now, index of US farm equipment is at a record high amid Deere's strike. This was an issue that I've been covering quite a bit here. The index is up 22% in the first 9 months of the year. Just looking at this, there's an index for everything. It makes you think about that. But essentially, just showing you what has happened. I mean, the chaos. I mean, the used tractor. Why? Because they can't get the new tractors. They can't get parts for the existing tractors. I showed you about the tires. They can't get those. We got to treat our equipment real kind right now because we can't get replacements for it and so on. That's how tight things are today. And when you have these problems, you start to have people that suffer. Maybe they can't get enough food to eat. Maybe the prices are too high. Whatever the issue is, food being the number one, we've got to be very, very careful. And that's why I highlight the whole preparedness element. It's so important. Yes, I understand we could buy 7 shares of Amazon and we'll become a billionaire, but there are other aspects we should be focusing on as well. Then real estate. Real estate is a big one. You're seeing the prices rising to levels we have never seen before. But at the same time, as these prices have gone up, younger people are basically saying, maybe I don't need to own a home. They have that mentality of, I'm going to rent my phone because I subscribe to the Apple, monthly payment system, or maybe with their service provider. I don't have any. Now, today, you don't own any movies, you don't own any CDs or records or anything physical. Everything's rented, everything is digital, everything is in the cloud. And while that has conveniences, and I understand what's happening here, at the same time, there's less ownership. And so that puts the control into someone else's hands. That's the only reason I mentioned this. 87% of Gen Z respondents to our survey view home ownership as being at least somewhat important. Okay, but as you go down, you're basically think that, just 13% think that home ownership is extremely attainable. Just 13%. So they know, we're told that this is what we should do, but for many people, they do not believe they can get it. Okay? Despite a generally positive outlook on homeownership, it's not a goal that many Gen Z renters are actively working towards. Just 16% say that it's currently a top financial priority. So the younger generation, I get it, they're young, but they're not saving up for that. Why? Because life is so expensive, and we're talking about maybe $1 million. They are not into that right now. They are into other things. Speaking of other things, young people obviously being really interested into cryptocurrencies and meme stocks and all kinds of things. I thought this to be interesting, wanted to bring it to you. Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto could be unmasked at Florida trial. Lawsuit over a $64 billion cash looks beyond the pseudonym to solve the mystery of who created the cryptocurrency. This happens to be Craig Wright, who apparently claims that he created Bitcoin. There's a lawsuit going on. I don't know if that's going to be actually revealed or anything like this. But, if anybody is involved in this, if Craig Wright and what have you, if you want to just convince people that you are Satoshi and you have access to the keys, I don't know the personal situation. I remember reading about it a while ago, but just move one Bitcoin. Just move it back. Then everybody knows it's all you. But so far, those haven't moved. This is the big thing, though, in the end. Okay, you stay to the end of this. I want to give you what you need to know. And I think this is really, really key to understand. China threatens Australia with heavy attack and warns allied forces better be prepared to sacrifice in defense of Taiwan after Peter Dutton confirmed we would join the US in protecting the island. Huge news. And essentially this is connected in with that. Inconceivable for Australia not to join the US to defend Taiwan, says its defense minister. I mean, I don't know what to say about this other than the fact that things are looking real hot. Okay. People should be prepared in any way they can. They should have a plan B. They should have everything in order today. We do not know what tomorrow has in store. We really don't. And so we should make that, have those preparedness plans today, right now. If you've got a little piece of land, grow some food on it. Have your preparedness today, please. That's my message to you. That's all I wanted to share. If you appreciate the message, hit that thumbs up button. I thank you for that. It supports me, supports the channel. Hit that down there. If you haven't subscribed already, just click that subscribe button. I will bring you data every single day. I think this is really important for people to share this information. And I have the best comment section down below. So many people from all over the world share their personal experiences, and I find it to be a wealth of information. If you haven't seen this video yet, you definitely want to check it out, all right? Click on it, and then I'll see you there.